Today we asked them to come on and talk about how to protect your property against flooding and water damage. And we know a lot of our listeners recently got hit, and so many did not have coverage. John, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Emilio. Thanks so much for having me. And yeah,
Well,
it's always great to be here. This is a topic we've talked about in the past, but figured we would bring it back up to the forefront here because we've just
oh yeah.
been having so much wet weather. For us, we received a ton of phone calls about it, folks who had, water issues with their property. And you hate to be the bearer of bad news in a lot of cases, but if there's anything listeners can take away from this call, it's that home insurance does not cover flooding. There's a separate insurance that you can get through the National Flood Insurance Program, which is a government program. An agent like us can help you with that. That's your FEMA flood insurance. You can also buy flood insurance through private companies. And it's really important that you consider possibly getting flood insurance for your property, even if you're not in a high risk zone. And I have like a super corny line that I tell people, but I say that you should consider buying flood insurance if you live anywhere where it rains, because it could happen. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be in a high risk zone. And that's what happened to a lot of folks over the past couple of weeks. Unfortunately, because of all that rain we got, they had flooding. And really the only way to, financially protect yourself from that is through a purchase of flood insurance. But there's a little bit more to it than just that, because in some cases it might make sense for you not to purchase flood insurance and, possibly put that money towards something else too. Most of the water damage issues that came to us were really concentrated in basements.
Yep.
And there's limited coverage on flood insurance when it comes to basement water. So as far as basements go, your flood insurance policy would cover you for mechanicals in the basement. It would cover you so that's like your, furnace, electric panels, hot water tanks, AC condensers and equipment, if that's in your basement. And it would also cover you for, major appliances if you have contents coverage on your flood insurance, like washers, dryers, freezers, things like that. But what it typically doesn't cover is property stored in a basement. So if you have just, I don't know, if you're like me, I got like a bunch of boxes and, little big plastic bins with our holiday decorations and, all sorts of seasonal stuff and whatnot that we just store in our basement, that even if you had flood insurance, it wouldn't cover that. The reason why they don't cover a lot of that stuff in basements is because where's the water going to go? That's the first place that it's likely to go. And in a lot of cases, maybe a better option, instead of spending the money on a flood insurance policy where that now you've had this situation happen, right? If you don't do anything to possibly, prevent that from happening in the future, you it's going to happen again, right? And then so you could have that happen. It damages your equipment in the basement, what have you. Maybe you have a finished basement, but you only get limited coverage on some of the things, and you file a flood insurance claim and it gives you some, compensation there to repair some of your stuff. But then what's to stop it from happening again, And now your flood insurance is going to be more expensive after you filed that claim. Maybe it would be better to have somebody come out and look at ways to possibly waterproof this property, right? And a lot of times that looks at from the outside in, because more often than not, water that comes in through your foundation is related to water that's pooling up on the outside of your home, because concrete foundations, fieldstone, block, whatever it's made of, it's usually porous materials that if the water pressure outside is great enough, it's going to find a way to seep into that basement. What's the cost to possibly just keep this basement dry to begin with, right? And then you don't have to deal with a claim. You don't have to file a claim. It's not going to be a repeated event, and you're going to be, ultimately saving money in the long run.